Your ex texts you at 2 a.m. after months of silence and you think it's coincidence. It's not. There's a dark psychological principle at work that scientists have studied for decades, and it explains why the person who walked away always seems to come crawling back the moment you've moved on. This isn't about love. This isn't about fate. This is about a primal mechanism in the human brain that makes us crave what we can no longer have. Today, I'm going to reveal the exact science behind why your ex keeps coming back, and more importantly, how to use this knowledge to never be powerless in relationships again. Let me tell you something that the dating industry doesn't want you to know. The moment you became unavailable, you became irresistible. Psychologists call this the scarcity principle, and it's the same reason why limited edition products sell out in minutes, and why people camp outside stores for exclusive releases. When something becomes rare or hard to obtain, our brains automatically assign it higher value. Your ex didn't suddenly realize your worth because they had some magical epiphany. Their brain chemistry literally changed the moment you became scarce. This is neuroscience, not romance. Here's what happened in your ex's brain the day you stopped reaching out. Their dopamine system, which had grown accustomed to your constant availability, suddenly went into withdrawal. It's the exact same neurological pattern that occurs in addiction. When a reward that was once predictable becomes uncertain, the brain doesn't decrease its desire, it amplifies it. Studies from behavioral psychology show that intermittent reinforcement creates stronger attachment than consistent availability ever could. Your absence didn't make them forget you. It made their brain obsess over you like a slot machine that might pay out at any moment. Think about the last time someone was too available to you. Remember how it felt when they always texted back immediately, always said yes to your plans, always prioritized you above everything else? If you're honest with yourself, it probably felt suffocating. Not because they were bad people, but because your brain is wired to seek challenges and value scarcity. We're descended from hunters, and hunters don't get excited about prey that walks into their lap. The thrill is in the chase, the uncertainty, the possibility of loss. Your ex's brain is running the same ancient software, and when you became the hunter instead of the hunted, everything changed. Stanford University conducted a fascinating study on perceived value and scarcity. They showed participants identical cookies and asked them to rate how much they wanted them. One group saw cookies in a jar that was nearly full. Another group saw the same cookies in a jar with only 2 left. The near-empty jar group rated the cookies as significantly more desirable, even though they were molecularly identical. Your ex is doing the same calculation right now. When you were always there, you were the full cookie jar. The moment you disappeared, you became the last 2 cookies everyone desperately wants before they're gone forever. But here's where it gets really interesting. The scarcity principle doesn't just make you more attractive. It actually rewrites their memories of your relationship. Psychologists call this rosy retrospection, and it's a cognitive bias where people remember past events more positively than they actually were. When you're no longer available, their brain starts filtering out all the reasons they left and amplifying all the good times. They're not remembering the real you. They're remembering an idealized version that their scarcity-activated brain has constructed. This is why exes often come back saying things like, "I made a mistake," or "I didn't appreciate what I had." Their perception of reality has literally been altered by your absence. Now let's talk about why this keeps happening in cycles. You probably noticed that your ex comes back, gets your attention, then pulls away again. This isn't cruelty. It's the scarcity principle working in both directions. The moment they secure your attention again, you become available in their mind, and the perceived value drops. Then you pull back, scarcity returns, and the cycle repeats. Relationship psychologist Dr. Robert Cialdini documented this pattern across thousands of relationships. The people who break this cycle are the ones who understand that true attraction requires maintaining your inherent value regardless of relationship status. You can't be scarce by playing games. You have to genuinely become someone with a life so rich that your presence is naturally limited. Here's the secret that changes everything. Scarcity only works if there's genuine value behind it. You can't manufacture scarcity around something worthless and expect people to care. This is why simply ignoring your ex or playing hard to get isn't enough. The real power comes from actually becoming high value, developing yourself, pursuing meaningful goals, and creating a life that's genuinely fulfilling without them. When you do this, scarcity becomes authentic rather than strategic. Your ex senses this authenticity at a subconscious level. They can tell the difference between someone who's playing games and someone who's genuinely moved on to something better. The latter is absolutely magnetic because it triggers not just scarcity, but also social proof and the fear of missing out on someone who's clearly leveling up. Let me share something that might hurt to hear. Your ex probably didn't come back because they realized you were their soulmate. They came back because their brain was experiencing the psychological equivalent of withdrawal, and reaching out to you was the path of least resistance to relieving that discomfort. Research from attachment theory shows that people often return to familiar relationship patterns, not because those relationships were healthy, but because the familiarity itself is comforting. This is why the same exes come back multiple times. They're not choosing you based on rational assessment of compatibility. They're responding to primitive brain mechanisms that equate unavailability with value and familiarity with safety. Understanding this doesn't make you less special. It makes you powerful, because you're no longer operating on illusions. So how do you actually use this knowledge ethically? First, understand that the scarcity principle isn't a manipulation tactic. It's a reflection of genuine self-worth. When you truly value your time, energy, and presence, others will naturally perceive you as scarce because you are. You're not artificially creating scarcity by playing games. You're setting boundaries, pursuing your goals, and refusing to make someone else the center of your universe. Second, recognize that if your ex only wants you when they can't have you, that's not love. That's addiction to the chase. A healthy relationship requires someone who values you both when you're available and when you're not. The scarcity principle attracts attention, but it takes genuine compatibility and emotional maturity to build something lasting. Here's what the research really shows about long-term relationship success. Couples who maintain individual identities, personal goals, and separate interests while together report higher satisfaction than those who merge into one identity. The scarcity principle doesn't stop applying when you enter a relationship. It transforms. You remain valuable by remaining yourself, by continuing to grow, by not abandoning the life and interests that made you attractive in the first place. This is why the most magnetic people in relationships are those who love their partners deeply, but don't need them desperately. They've maintained their scarcity, not through distance, but through continued self-development. Your ex might have come back because you became scarce, but the question is, have you grown enough that you no longer need them to come back? The ultimate truth about the scarcity principle is this: it's not really about making your ex come back. It's about transforming yourself into someone so valuable that you become selective about who gets access to you. When you genuinely embody scarcity, not as a tactic, but as a natural result of a rich, fulfilling life, you stop caring whether your ex comes back or not. And paradoxically, that's when you become truly irresistible. Not just to them, but to everyone around you. The scarcity principle reveals that attraction isn't about being perfect or playing games. It's about being someone whose time, attention, and energy are genuinely valuable because you're investing them in creating an extraordinary life. So the next time your ex texts you at 2 a.m., you'll understand exactly what's happening in their brain. And more importantly, you'll know whether they deserve access to yours.